Adults of Reddit. What is something every teenager needs to know? It's okay to say no to anyone. Don't let anyone in your life guilt trip you into doing something you don't want to do or are uncomfortable with. And try to be aware of when you are guilt tripping others. I've watched people do it to others without realizing they are doing it, as it's a learned behavior, and to them, it's just what is done by everyone. Yeah, if your family guilt trips a lot, when you grow up it is just something you see as normal, and you don't think about it when you do it. It's exactly as lame to not do something you want to do because it's too mainstream or popular as it is to do something only because it's cool and the cool kids are doing it. Also, some things seem mainstream to you just because you like that thing, so you have a lot of friends who do it. For example, I had a friend in high school who was very good at cello, and his parents were luthiers, violin makers. Music was his passion, but he felt the field would be too competitive because everyone does it. Well, in reality it wasn't everyone, but his social circle consisted of mostly musicians. So in college he studied environmental science and hated it. Fast forward, and he is now working in his parents' shop and learning the family trade of making violins. He still worries about competition in that field, but I think he will be successful, and it's work that he enjoys. Just too bad he threw away that time and money for the college that he didn't really want to do anyway. Failing is okay. Failure and mistakes are where you are learning. The measure of whether someone has the potential to be a new friend of yours is not whether they like a bunch of things you like. It is entirely possible to become friends with people who like a ton of things you've never heard of, or even already decided you dislike. You are at a spot in life where a lot of your likes and dislikes are subject to change anyway. Biggest thing, making a new friend often takes time. Lots of time. Much longer than movies and shows make it look like. Find things to do, groups to join, city league sports to play, pandemic permitting, or after, and keep learning about the people you see repeatedly. Far too many early 20s people who report having no friends made a premature judgment that one or more prospective friends were off the list when it just needed a lot more time. Can confirm. My best friend and I have absolutely nothing in common interest-wise, but get along extremely well. My best friend and I have very similar interests, but not one of my other friends have anything in common. To add on this, especially to people still in school, don't diss or even ignore people from a different year, especially lower ones. There is this weird mentality that, if they are lower in year they are not important. You may find very important friendships there. Learn a second language. It's good for your brain, and it's a lot easier when you're young. Get active and fit. Make it a habit. This is one of the most important ways to stave off cognitive decline as you get older. Plus, it's great for managing mental health during the transition to adulthood. Advice is free, and if you respond to it with "I know," then you're probably not gonna figure your problem out. I'm 17 and I needed to hear this one. Thanks. Train yourself to say "you're right" instead. I do this one all the time. 19 going on 20 in a few, and this also really opened my eyes. Thank you. When you get to driving you need to realize that the laws of physics apply to you. They aren't out to get you. They are just indifferent. Slow the F down and don't horse around. You're driving a very heavy machine at speeds we did not evolve to deal with. Be safe. Also slow down on curves. Friction is your best friend until you reach the breaking point. To add to this, don't brake in curves. Slow down before the curve, then speed up out of the curve. I don't know the physics behind this, but my dad was a police officer and has done some pursuits. And I was told this by my driver's ed instructor who helps instruct police officers too. This is because braking takes away from overall tire grip. Very common fundamental in racing, but can also save your life on public roads where grip is already shitty, especially with stock or old tires. However, this doesn't mean you can't brake at all in a turn. You just have to be wary that there is a limited amount of grip for even the best tires. How to de-escalate difficult situations, and how to disagree with a teacher/someone in authority without sounding like a know-it-all or in a condescending manner. For example, If a teacher says X and you are certain you learned differently, recognize that there may be certain circumstances that you may not realize that changes something. Lead the disagreement with a saying like, "Excuse me, I may be wrong, but I thought/learned Y." This kind of phrasing does not cause the other person to be on the defensive, which can allow gentle new instruction for you, or a graceful/face-saving correction for the teacher. A situation with differing opinions doesn't have to be confrontational. The general advice to not be an asshole will get you further in life than you would expect considering how easy it is. There's more to it than just do not be an asshole. It's also allowing a graceful exit for both parties. The same is true when encountering wild animals. True. And I did not mean to undermine your general point. What you're describing seems more like level 2. I'm always amazed people haven't mastered level 1. Especially when all it involves most of the time is not going out of your way to make yourself look better or someone else look worse. Great line about wild animals too. I have no idea if it works in practice, but it seems very logical. I didn't read your comment as undermining. I only wanted to elaborate. Don't put off dealing with mental health issues. Developing unhealthy coping mechanisms for emotional issues will F you up big time down the road. If you have issues, deal with it head on, right away. It can take time, but start the work now. Also, save for retirement. You should open a Roth IRA yesterday. Sometimes it's not just a phase and your parents, while both very intelligent functional people, are fucking idiots for letting you suffer through 4 years of high school. Don't go to college for more than 2 years, unless you're gonna finish it. Don't let your bank act yo-yo around zero. Start to save something. At least have $1,000 for an emergency fund. Drinking a little is fine. Drinking at the bar every weekend, or 3x/WK will ruin your health and your wallet. Don't drink and drive, but you are allowed to have fun and nice things sometimes. And sex is not wrong or immoral. You would be careful about it. And most social media is a poisonous toxic lying bragfest dumpster fire. Don't waste your time except for your immediate friend group. Yeah. Unfortunately both my parents are suffering from forms of depression same as me. My dad's been out of a job for more than half a decade and just sits around playing video games. While my mom has a lot of unresolved traumas from her dad being a sack of S and the fact that she's the breadwinner. In 8th grade I asked my mom if I could go see a therapist, but she said she learned to deal with her problems by herself, and so should I. 4 years later and nothing's improved. It's hard to think, and I've failed multiple assessments the past few weeks since I just been sleeping. I still feel like S, but at least I managed to submit my statistics project today. It may be 2 days past the deadline, but it's a start. It's never too late to just see a therapist. If you don't have a passion, learn new skills. You might find your passion or something you're good at. Good advice. Also, if you do have a passion, embrace it and don't be shy about it. Also, if your passion is something creative like art, design, woodworking, basically anything that has a visual aspect, be ready to expect unjust criticism. Accept constructive criticism. And most importantly, reject any sense of overconfidence in yourself. You think you are the best, you tend to not readily accept any criticism and start looking down on the work of others. Expect the criticism. Accept the constructive advice. Reject the propeller made out of poop. If the propeller is made out of poop, people will be none the wiser when S hits the fan. 2020. Get a marketable skill. Unskilled labor sucks. You need something that's going to pay you. It doesn't have to be your life's passion, contrary to what my peers were saying at that age. But you do need to be able to tolerate it. And you don't need to go to a university and get a BA to get those skills. 2 years of welding school will get you a better return in investment than most undergrad degrees. My brother is a principal of a US high school. He had a representative of a pipe fitters union ask to put up an information table at their school last year, like the colleges and military recruiters do. The school board was against it. They wanted their students to aim higher. My brother successfully argued that this union rep was offering paid training that in a couple of years would lead to a solid mid-5-figure income. In a career that, if you went for some of the more attractive certifications, like underwater work, you could be making six figures a couple years after that. The school board was against it. They wanted their students to aim higher. I hate that the US has devalued actual work. Trade jobs can be very stable and lucrative,